Have all those 11 people inside the house, have they been interviewed thoroughly by people to make sure all their stories match?
Great question. So normally under circumstances like this, you would interview every single person in the house, right? Michael Proctor interviewed a total of 5 out of the 11. He didn't interview 6 of the people inside that house. He didn't interview Brian Albert Jr., Caitlin Albert, whose parents told the police that she left at 12:15 before John arrived, and then later on, Brian Albert testified, I never said that. I said she left at 1:45. So they never talked to Caitlin Albert. They never talked to Juliana Nagel. They never talked to Sarah Levinson. Now, and there was 2 other people I forget that they didn't speak to. They only spoke to, and Colin Albert was one they didn't speak to. The only people they spoke to were Matthew McCabe, Jennifer McCabe, who was the sister of Nicole Albert, who was Brian Albert's wife, who lived in the house. They spoke with those 4 and Brian Higgins, who was a federal agent who was also from the ATF, who was also inside the house. And why would they do that? Why would they not talk to eyewitnesses? Because in a cover-up, in a conspiracy, the less people that talk, the better. The more people involved in a conspiracy, the more likely it is someone's going to slip up and say something inconsistent with another person's testimony. So Michael Proctor interviewed all of these people together at Jennifer McCabe's house, not at the police station. He didn't record any of these interviews. He interviewed these 4 people together at Jennifer McCabe's house, and they all told the same story, that they were out at the bar with Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. They were drinking. Karen seemed fine. There didn't seem to be an argument or anything like that. Jennifer McCabe invites John O'Keefe over the house. John O'Keefe never comes inside. That they saw Karen Reed's car outside the house, but that John O'Keefe never came inside the house. Their stories vary about what time they saw Karen leave. They all claim at some point to have been looking out the window and seeing Karen Reed's car there. They noticed random things like tire tracks in the snow. They claim they saw Matt McCabe said he saw tire tracks in the snow, but didn't see John's body lying on the front lawn, which would have been in the foreground. You can't see tire tracks in the snow if a body is in front of you, and yet you didn't see the body. None of these people saw this big, massive body. And by the way, I don't know if people from New England know, snow illuminates things because it's white. It's very white. It's light colored. And so it illuminates. You're more likely to see something with an inch of snow on the ground. So
and also you would think that if they claim to see the car at some point and they claim to see the tracks, you would think that they would see the car reverse really fast and a body get hit or fly by, or they would hear something. I mean, I think I agree that sounds a little strange.
Not a single person in that house, all 11, heard a 217-pound man being hit by a 3-ton vehicle that allegedly accelerated 24 miles in just 62 feet in the snow while drunk, which by the way is impossible. I've tested it out sober without any snow. And I measured out 62 feet right in front of Brian Albert's house. I tested this out 3 times. Pedal to the metal, you cannot get above 19 miles an hour. And it feels like you're going to die when you do that. It is an insanely high speed. Her tires would have been spinning so fast. Her engine would have accelerated so quickly. It would have been so loud. The thud would have been, you would have heard it from blocks away. Yet not a single person in that house saw or heard a single thing outside the house. And when they all left, not a single one of them saw a 217-pound body lying there. Additionally, there was 3 other witnesses. Ryan Nagel, who is the brother of Julie Nagel, who was inside the house and didn't hear anything. He came there to pick up his sister, along with his girlfriend, Heather Maxon, and his friend, Ricky. And all 3 of them testified to the same exact story. They pulled in right after Karen Reed pulled in, okay? So they pulled up behind Karen Reed. And probably 5-10 seconds after. So that gives time for John to jump out of the car and run inside the house, right? And they all claim that they sat there for 5 minutes and waited for Julie Nagel to come outside. And she came outside and said, actually, I don't need a ride home. I'm just going to stay here for some reason. And then she doesn't end up staying there. But they all testified that when they left 10 minutes later, Karen Reed was sitting alone in her car with her interior lights on and her hands at 10 and 2, that no one was in the car with her and no one was outside the car. So John O'Keefe was not inside the car and John O'Keefe was not outside the car, according to these 3 eyewitnesses. Then where could John O'Keefe be but inside the house, where his Apple Health data shows that he was ascending and descending 3 flights of stairs? And so it is, and this is what I mean, like a child can look at this evidence and say, clearly this woman did not kill this man. Clearly this woman is innocent, is factually innocent of the crime of murder. We don't know who killed John O'Keefe inside that house, but we know someone did, because he went in that house alive and he came out basically dead.
Okay, so now I want to hear your version of what the defense is saying happened in that house. But also, when you were talking, it became curious to me, like, why did no one ask them if they couldn't hear this man get hit so hard and get thrown to the point where he died? How loud was the music inside? Like, I don't understand why they didn't get more of, like, details about what was going on in the house, that these people did not notice a fight outside or someone being hit. It seems bizarre.
They testified that they didn't, that the music wasn't even loud, and somehow they have no explanation for why they didn't hear it. None. And that's what makes it so laughable. And by the way, the taillight is the big evidence that they have, right? And that was the second thing I said. So the taillight, when the Canton police got there at 6:15 or whatever time they got there in the morning, when Karen Reed, Jennifer McCabe, and Kerry Roberts discovered his body on Brian Albert's lawn, they got the body out of there. And they did it. And by the way, Jennifer McCabe never told police, this is my sister's house, never went inside to wake them up and alert them about the dead body on their front lawn of their alleged friend. And Brian Albert, a Boston police sergeant of 29 years, didn't come outside the house, claims he slept through the entire thing, despite having a very aggressive man-eating dog named Chloe, who would have certainly barked and woken him up. But when the Canton police got there, they searched the scene, and it's all on video. They actually videotaped this. They use a leaf blower and red Solo cups to preserve 6 droplets of blood that they allegedly found in the snow. And they have this on tape of them searching the whole scene, and they find some transparent pieces of a cocktail glass. That's the only thing they found. They don't find a single piece of red taillight, nothing, despite the fact that it's daylight at this point. They don't find John's size 12 shoe. His body only had 1 shoe on it at the time they found it, and the missing other shoe was not there. Then it snows for about 12 hours and 18 inches of snowfall. And then the state police come in and they do a search after 18 inches of snow has fallen. What do they find? They find 4 pieces of red taillight and the missing shoe. And then over the next 3 weeks, 41 more pieces of taillight on 5 undocumented trips are all found by Trooper Proctor, Trooper Beginnick, and the off-duty chief of police of Canton, Ken Berkowitz. They all just find, every time they go there, it's like a perennial plant. More taillight just reveals itself, as they said. The taillight just kept appearing. Yet the Canton police didn't find any of this taillight. And coincidentally, the taillights pieces didn't start appearing until Michael Proctor took control of Karen Reed's car, confiscated her car from her parents' house. He lied in his report about what time he towed the car. He said that he towed the car at 5:30. There's video of him having the car towed at 4:15. That left him 1 hour and 15 minutes unaccounted for with Karen Reed's car. And all of a sudden, more taillight appears. We got video of Karen Reed's car leaving John O'Keefe's house at 5:07 after she allegedly killed him. And there is a small piece of the taillight that appears to be broken. And the video shows her backing into John O'Keefe's Chevy Traverse, which would cause the taillight to crack, but not shatter into a million pieces. Yet, after the state police get a hold of the vehicle, all of a sudden the taillight is no longer just cracked. It is shattered into 45 different pieces, and then red pieces of taillight start showing up on 6 undocumented trips by Michael Proctor, who never revealed to police that he is a close personal friend of the homeowners, the Alberts, and has known them for over 2 decades. He never interviewed Colin Albert, who was a 17-year-old at the time and was the ring bearer in his sister's wedding. And he has known Colin for quite some time. He never spoke with Colin Albert. Colin Albert was the neighbor of John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe had issues with him because he kept trespassing on his lawn and throwing beer cans on his lawn and taking pictures next to the Ring camera video with his finger in the air. Colin has also posted several videos in which he threatens, the kind of like demented videos he posted on TikTok of himself threatening other rival teenagers about, I'm gonna fuck you dolls up, yo, bang, bang, knock you bitches out, stuff like that. And Colin was never, ever interviewed by Michael Proctor, despite being in the house that night, was never spoken to by police, by his good buddy, Michael Proctor, who never told anyone that he has known these people for 2 decades.
Okay. So, and for people listening, since the trial, Michael Proctor has been suspended without pay, and we'll get into that in a minute. But hold on. So if you do believe that this was a cover-up, my question is, at what point did they say, okay, wait, the way that we're going to get away with this is to say that Karen Reed backed up into him and killed him? Like, how would that have come into pass?
Yeah, I mean, simple. So John O'Keefe goes inside that house and gets into some sort of altercation there, an argument, right? We don't know who with, because it's not my job to find out who killed John O'Keefe. So he goes in that house. He comes out. When he comes out of the house, he has bruised knuckles, which looks like he's been in a fight. Anyone ever been in a fight before, punched something, knows what that looks like. Got black eyes. He's got a gash in the back of his head, like somebody went too far and hit him with the back of the head. So at some point, he walks in there and some sort of fight breaks out. And maybe it goes too far. And Brian Albert is likely involved, because if Brian Albert gets in a fight, his dog is going to back him up. Chloe the dog bit John. John's got gigantic dog bites on his arm, which 2 doctors testified were in fact dog bites. And his arm, by the way, his arm tissue samples were supposed to be tested for dog DNA. Disappeared. They're gone. A lot of things just disappear in this case that could potentially, inculpate the McAlberts. They just disappear.